Hey there, it's Pete with GCI Turf. Hope you're having a great day, and I've got my hands full right now. I'm headed out here to get things set up. Look at that pretty skyline. Look, we're finally starting to get some good rain. We got 2 inches last night, so I'm glad that stuff's coming. Bring them over here, sugar. It's about that time for cool season turf folks, you know, fescue and possibly rye and bluegrass and all you guys. You're gonna start watering, okay? Because aeration and seeding is right around the corner. All right, so the hose pipe that I like, and I've been using these for a pretty good while, is this 0G. I think they come in 100, 50, 25 feet. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's right. You can pick them up at Lowe's or anywhere like that. Your big box stores usually carry them. It's pretty neat. They got a real good quality end on them. And the thing I like about them, they're really flexible. I mean, look at that. I mean, that's 100 feet of hose in that one little box. So that's why I like them so much is they're very compact. You can have several hundred feet and put it in a 5-gallon bucket, set it over in the corner. It doesn't take up any space. All right, so here's my manifold set up. I've got an extra one. I may end up adding a fourth one. I'm not sure yet. But I've got a 5-foot leader that goes to my water spigot over here. And then each one of these will have their own individual timer. And here's just if you don't remember anything, if I missed a video, please remember this. If you ever decide you want to make a YouTube video and show folks how to set up a timer on a manifold, make sure you go to Walmart and buy batteries for the timer so you can actually show the timer. So I don't have any batteries, so if you can just picture with me a timer right here. We got it hardwired just to test the system out. I forgot the batteries. Sorry about that. All right, so here's the neighbor's very back part of her yard. This is the 12,000 square foot we're gonna smoke off and renovate. Simply because there's nothing to work with here. Just nothing but total crap. And I wanna start her off with a brand new fresh yard. So I've got one head here, one head in the middle, one all the way on the end. Now I'm getting about right at 50 feet of spray down the hill here. And what I will do is I will run these sprinklers that are on their individual zone. I'm probably gonna run them for about 2 hours each time. These will run in the middle of the night because during the day I'll be watering my yard with the irrigation system. And of course the well, I've got a very strong well, but it won't supply both at one time. So I'm just gonna have to do what I can do here. Now I'll run these for a couple of nights, 2 or 3 nights, and then I'm gonna come out here and move the sprinklers about halfway down, and then I'm gonna catch the bottom half. So that's about all I could do unless I went and purchased 3 more of the big sprinkler jumbo sleds and purchased a bunch more hose pipe, but I just don't want to do that. So I'm gonna make do with what I've got, and I'll water this section about 3 days in a row, then 3 days in a row, and I'll rotate it back and forth, and we'll be praying for rain the entire time. So let's check out this sprinkler. All right, so you can see my pattern there. They put out a pretty nice pattern. Of course, you know, this is the Rainbird Falcon that Big League offers. If you want that rotor head, you know, it typically comes with an impact style head, you know, that one. But if you want the rotor, you can just call them and they'll swap it out for a rotor. They come with many different nozzle options. So depending on if you got a, you know, water pressure that's low or volume that's low or whatever, you can make it work. But look at that. My well, just so you know, you get an idea here, my well is 600 feet deep. It is 28 gallon per minute, and it's 80 psi, and I'm pushing right about 45 or 50 feet roughly. That's pretty good coverage. That's from the sprinkler out to the very tip. It's around 45, 50 feet, so that's pushing pretty good for one sprinkler. I can cover a lot of ground. All right, there's number 2, throwing well. Man, I love those sprinklers. And here's the third one. Now, not quite getting the distance with this one as I am the other, simply because I've got a much longer hose pipe, so it's kind of losing a little bit of pressure that far out. So that's okay. I'll make do with what I got, and this is going to work out well. So hey, what's the trick to getting seed to germinate? Well, there's 3 things. You've heard me say this 100 times. Of course, we need some heat, sun, warmth, temperature, whatever you want to call it. God provides that in the form of that big ball of goodness, right? And typically the way I time mine here in Carolina is I'll do mine roughly around mid-September, because we can stay mild all the way up to the 1st of November. So that gives me time to get my seed watered, get it up, get it mowed 3 or 4 times before the yard starts to shut down when it gets really cold. So you'll have to, kind of do your timing based off where you live in the country. Second thing is seed to soil contact. Of course, the grass seed will germinate wherever if water and heat's available, but that root system has to get in the dirt to grow and establish. So you want to make sure when you plug and seed, get your grass seed in the soil the best way you can. Many options of doing that. Third thing, and very crucial, and it's the thing that most people forget about. They say, well, let it rain or whatever. You have to water it. Okay, that's the leg work, the hard work. I have a 0 tolerance for that in my yard, in my setting. Even before I had irrigation, when I got off work, I would drag those water hoses around the yard up until midnight to get it done, go to bed, get back up at 5 o'clock, go work all day till dark, come back home, drag the water hoses. I do whatever it takes. God's blessed me with the irrigation system, so I'm not gonna have to do that no more, but I am doing the neighbor's test plot. The neighbor's backyard. I do have the test plot I'm gonna seed. So now, this is about the same area of yard, so I'm gonna kind of do it all over again. I'm gonna get out here and bust tail, do whatever it takes to keep as much water on this new seed as I can, because I'm spending my time and my money in the aeration and seeding process. And I want my return on my investment. I'm going to get a return on my investment. I'm not going to do that work and it just be void. Okay, it don't make sense to me. So yes, the watering is a nuisance. It's difficult. It's timing, meaning everybody's busy. But at the end of the day, if you don't water the seed, it's not going to come up. It's very black and white, okay? Hopefully we get some rain and I don't have to water as much. That will be a great blessing, wouldn't it? Now, for those folks, I'm pretty fortunate. I've got a very good well. And for those of you that don't have that kind of water pressure, that kind of humph, I'm going to take one of those heads and we're going to go up to the house and I'm going to put the smallest nozzle in it and I'm going to hook it up to my house water spigot, which is a very low volume, very low pressure, and we'll see what it does, and that way you can determine whether or not you want one of these or whether you go to Lowe's or wherever. At the end of the day, it don't matter what kind of water sprinkler you use. Put water on the yard when you put your seed out, okay? All right, so now I've got it hooked up to my house, and you can see that each one of these heads comes with several different nozzle options. I'm gonna run the number 4, which is the smallest one. and we're gonna see how that does. To change it, it's very easy. It comes with a little Rainbird screwdriver. You can see this little set screw right here, the little silver screw. I'm gonna back that all the way out. Well, not all the way, leave it in, but you can see when it gets past the green part there. Take and pop your nozzle out. Pop your new one in, like so, and return the set screw. And you're ready to go. Now I'm getting about 33 feet with the number 4 head. I'm gonna bump it up to the number 6 and see what we get. All right, so I switched back to the number 4. I was getting about 28 feet out of the other one. 33 with the number 4. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this set screw and screw it down. See how it disrupts the water flow? I wanna fan it out just a touch. So yeah, I'm gonna lose a little bit of distance out of that, but I'm okay with it. You see how that water's all broken up now? I'll get better coverage like that. So hey, at the end of the day, the trick to seed germination is keep the seed moist. It's that simple. Now, Pete, how in the world can I gauge that? Well, that's a very, very hard question to answer because I don't know what kind of climate you're in. If you're in a cooler climate, you may only have to water once a day, once every other day. I don't know. If you're in a warmer climate, you may have to water 3 or 4 times a day. I'm not sure. The way I do my yard, the way I'm going to do my yard in my irrigation is I'll plug and seed. The second I'm done, I'm going to run it for about 20 minutes a zone. Okay, I'm going to get everything good and wet, maybe even 30 minutes a zone, just to get everything good, settle it down, settle the seed in. Then I'll probably set it up to run it maybe 3 or 4 times a day, 1 to 3 minutes per zone. Not going to be a lot because all I'm trying to do is keep it moist, okay? Not soupy wet, moist. The way I judge that is I'll come home at the end of the workday and I'll do it in the morning before I leave. I'll simply walk out in the yard, find a bare spot, find an aeration hole, and I'll stick my finger in that hole or I'll touch the ground with my hand. God gave you an incredible ability with your hand in the form of touch, the sense of touch. You can touch it and feel the moisture in the ground. Let the ground tell you if it needs a little more water. And if it feels dry to you, you simply increase your water. If it feels a little mushy to you and a little overly wet and kind of soupy feeling, you back off the water. It's literally that easy. So get out there and get your hands involved. Let them tell you how much water you need to add. And of course, back here in the test plot, I'm gonna have to totally and completely do it different simply because of my unique situation. I'll run that water overnight for long periods of time because that's gonna be a renovation. The ground's gonna be very loose in the top 4 inches. So a lot of that water is gonna seep in really quickly. So I'm gonna need to run the water a little more aggressively out there. But when we get to the renovation, I'll show you when I set it up and all that kind of thing. But I hope this gives you an idea of how much to water, that kind of thing. And again, you can throw the watering late evening out the door when you're aerating seeding. Okay, you have to remember there's 3 types of watering I preach. One is deep and infrequent. That's your normal watering. Then when it gets smoking hot, and additional watering in the evening, a little light syringing, which is maybe 2 to 5 minutes a zone just to cool the turf off. And then the third watering is when you're aerating and seeding, and that's just enough to keep the seed moist. And by then, temperatures are low or down during the evening, humidity's down, so you don't have to worry about fungus. So throw the late evening watering out the door when aerating and seeding is concerned. The worst thing you can do is get that seed wet, moist, let it dry. Wet, dry, wet, dry, wet. Don't do that. Okay? No. That's not good. Once you start, once you dig in, you need to keep it moist. And I'm telling you, under the right conditions, I've seen our fescue germinate in 4 days. So as long as you have those conditions just right, that seed will pop up out of the ground in no time. You'll be mowing before you know it. So hey, if you want that big league jumbo sled, I'll link it in the description. I'll give you 10% off on it. You'll love that sprinkler. It's an incredible sprinkler. Lasts you until Jesus comes back. You will not tear it up ever. So hey, get your water right. Check you later.